it's Sarah again, and I'm going to go ahead and take you through the Qualitative Habitat Evaluation Index, which is this piece of paper that you will be provided with. It's really nice. It walks you through the process, really straightforward. I think it's pretty clear. But basically we have all of these main topics. So for example, substrate, fish cover, stream shape, etc. And you will click the boxes next to the description that matches the stream that you are currently evaluating. And then you total up those points associated with each box to get a total score. So we're going to go ahead and evaluate this stream together. So we're going to start with substrate. You just kind of want to look down. If you can enter the stream safely, go ahead and do so. Maybe give the substrate a little kick. Just standing here, I saw that some silt had already settled on my boots. This is also a really great time to use your hands. Remember, like, sight is not our only sense, so you don't be afraid to get dirty. So you can go ahead, reach in, kind of like pull up that substrate, really get a good feel of what this river bottom looks like or feels like. So this one is definitely mostly very fine. It's really coarse. You can see there's leaf litter and there's definitely some silt on top of the leaf litter. Like I said, just standing here for maybe 5 minutes, I noticed that there was already silt settling on my boots. So I'm definitely going to check off that one. Smothering. It's just, again, I kind of mentioned that there is silt on top of the leaf litter, so whatever rocky, particulate, even like leaf litter, logs, if there is substrate, so silt or sand starting to cover that stuff, we would consider it smothered. So I'm going to say yes for this one. And then again, silting, are there silts and clays distributed throughout the stream? I mentioned it already. This one definitely does. You can even kind of tell. We can't really see the bottom of the stream, so there's definitely some silt and sand floating around in here. So I'm going to go ahead and check off that one. Next, we have fish cover. So you just want to take a look around, maybe up and down the stream, and check off the items that you see. So we have, for example, underwater tree roots, large, small ones. Are there shrubs? Are there oxbows or side channels? An oxbow is like a big kind of U, an extra lake that forms when high flow events happen, kind of how the overflow goes into like this kind of U shape. Don't really know how else to describe it. You can Google it. They're really neat. But anyways, we have down trees. Are there shallow areas for smaller fish? Are there bigger areas for bigger fish? Are there water plants? And yeah, all those descriptions are right here. So I'm going to go ahead and check off what I see here. I see that there are underwater tree roots, both large and small. There are some shrubs kind of behind me over here. We have some side channels or some oxbows. You can't see them on camera, but there's definitely a side channel upstream. So again, just make sure you look up and downstream when you're doing this evaluation. There are also some shallow areas for some small fish right over here to my left, and definitely some down trees and branches. And then we also have some water plants, which you can kind of see right in front of me. So any plant that's emerging out of the water is considered a water plant. It doesn't even necessarily have to be emerging out of the water. Wetland plants can grow, you know, terrestrially or submerged in the water. Both usually are considered wetland plants. And then moving on from fish cover, we have stream shape. So for this, we're evaluating the shape of the stream. A really good healthy stream is really windy and just wanders throughout the country. Over time, they change shape, which is really cool. This one, I'm going to say, has one or two good bends. Again, you can't really see it on camera, but over here, there's definitely a good curve. So I'm going to say that. And then, how natural is this site? We evaluate, just looking around, how modified the site has been. There's a bridge right to my right, so I'm going to say that there's a few minor man-made changes. The road and the bridge is really the only thing I think that has been changed about this site. And then moving on, we have stream forests and wetlands. So we're going to evaluate where this site is. What is it surrounded by? This one is definitely narrow, so it means that I can throw a rock across the width of the stream. That's what we consider narrow or wide. So this one's narrow. And then we have land use. Just looking around, we can tell that we're definitely in a forested wetland. There are some shrubs, and this could be the place where you check if you're around like corn or maybe something open pasture or even an urban or industrial stream. But yes, again, this one's definitely forested and it is a wetland, so I'm going to check that. All right, and then bank erosion, you want to evaluate the banks. This bank, I'm going to say, has a combination of both stable and eroding banks. I'm going to say it's stable because there are a lot of rooted plants behind me that helps hold the banks in place, but you can kind of see going up to those rooted plants that some of that bank has eroded and it's like a little steeper, especially as we move closer to the bridge. There's definitely some erosion. All right, and then stream shading is next. Obviously, I'm standing in the shade and looking around. Most of this stream is pretty well shaded, so I'm going to say it's mostly shaded. All right, almost done. Next we have depth and velocity. So I'm just going to kind of take a peek. If you have waders on and the stream is not moving too fast, go ahead and walk around and evaluate that way. Otherwise, you can use your best judgment. Obviously, I don't have waders on, so I'm not really going to wander all the way through this stream. But just by looking around, I can surmise that this stream is about knee deep. One safety note, if you're in a stream that definitely has a visible high-flowing current, you never want to walk into a stream above your knee. Even if it's deeper, those currents are really strong, a lot stronger than we might think, so we don't want anyone to take a tumble. So just good rule of thumb, if it's a high-flowing stream, don't worry about wandering through it. And just use your eyes for that one. All right, after we do depth, we're gonna look at all the flow types. So this one is a very stagnant stream. I'm not really seeing any leaves getting washed downstream. You could even take a leaf off of a stream or off of a tree, throw it in the stream and see how fast it moves. So for this one, I'm gonna say that there is no flow, it does not exist. All right, and this is our last section. We have riffles and runs. So this is again kind of evaluating the basin of the stream, its formology, and then also its flow, so how much water is moving through here. We evaluate riffles or runs, how deep are those riffles or runs. Again, this has no flow, and it doesn't really have any riffles either, so I'm gonna say that they don't exist. And then finally, we have our riffle and run substrates. So a lot of riffles and runs will mix up the water at the bottom and sometimes kick up sediment. And again, we don't have riffles or runs, so I'm going to say that this doesn't exist. And now I've checked all of my boxes, and every checked box is associated with a certain point or number of points. So then I just go ahead and I tally up all of these. I actually did this beforehand, and then when you tally up all of your totals to get a complete composite total score. My score for this stream is 48. A maximum score on this is 114. So this stream obviously has room for improvement. It's definitely been impacted by some human actions. And it's just a good rule of thumb or something to keep in mind. The score of 60 or above is conducive to warm water fauna, so things like beavers or deer or muskrats. That's usually the streams that we associate with that kind of wildlife activity is it's a score of 60 or above. So this one's pretty close. Doesn't mean we can't find a beaver, but it'll be a little more less likely. And that's this whole process.